us. Okay. Namaste. Thank you all for being here. I was just saying, I felt a little spunky yesterday creating this class, and it was great yesterday, and I woke up a little bit of a funk today, and I'm kind of like, I'm hoping I'm feeling it. And the reason why I'm saying that is core work is not my favorite. I have to be like really inspired to do core work or feeling really good to do core work, and that's where we're going today. But I'll tell you where the inspiration comes from, and you'll see remnants of that inspiration kind of sprinkled into the practice. But Allison and I took the kids kayaking down the Duck River Thursday, and it was, forecasted to be 97 degrees. And I usually like to canoe or kayak with the kids at least once every summer, and we didn't get to do it last year, so I was determined we needed to do it this year. Unfortunately, it fell on that scorching day. The good news is once we got on the river, we actually did have a little breeze, and when you're rowing, the water inevitably kind of comes on your lap, so we felt actually refreshed the whole time. It wasn't that bad. But it was a great trip. It was nice to be outdoors. It was so peaceful to be out on the river. There's not as many rapids at the Duck River. So we saw lots of turtles, a couple snakes, we saw a couple otters. So it was really cool. And being with Allison, we banked up in one place for the kids to swim. And we're standing there having our snack in the shade. And she looks back at the trees and she was like, oh, all the Native Americans are coming to welcome us. And they're still protecting this land. And they're telling me that they're happy we're here. They're happy that we're enjoying nature. And they were telling her about how the water had changed and how it's a different color than it used to be and the reasons why. And it was talking about the shifts in the planet and the changes in some of the elements, that had happened that had changed up the water. So it wasn't just about pollution. It wasn't just about human pollution. It was actual other things that have changed. And so that was really interesting to have someone that can see this other side, kind of sharing this with you. But being inspired by the river, I decided we needed to do boat poses today. Boat poses are core work. And I don't teach boat pose a lot. Usually I did every time in Ashtanga because it comes up in that primary series, but I don't necessarily always introduce it into gentle or blissful flow. So we're going to be working on boat poses. We're going to be working on the core. I thought since we were going to focus on boat poses that I would check out, is there a myth behind the boat pose? Because I've never heard it. And I discovered one, and I want to share it with you. So a lot of these poses are named or create some sort of symbology, or they're a metaphor for things that show up in the Indian culture, mainly the myths. And I'm going to share with you the one concerning the boat. So Rama and Sita were this married couple. They're also considered these deities. And they were living in this kingdom, and I don't know why they were exiled. They were exiled from this kingdom. And Rama decided to take his brother, Lakshman, with them. So the three of them are traveling, and they come to a river, and they need to cross the river. Well, India is very much like the US as far as having lots of rivers. There's lots of rivers. It's the land of rivers. And you may have heard of the Ganges River. That's considered the holy river. Lots of times on the Ganges River, you'll see people bathing in it because they find it to be holy water. But they also will send their dead, their deceased loved ones. They do cremation in India, and they will make this float, and they will put the body on there, dress the body up, full of flowers. It's really the most beautiful ritual. Flowers all over the body, and they're carrying and chanting and singing the body to the river. And then they set it on fire and they let it float down the river. But this was not the Ganges River in the story. But in different parts of India, they have what's called a tirtha or tirtha, if I'm saying it correctly. A turtha is what would take you, it's kind of like a dock in a way, where the boats are, where you can journey or travel and not necessarily trade per se, because these are holy places. They're either a dock for a holy place, maybe a holy temple, or where some sort of miracle may have happened, or where some saint may have lived, or, you know, been there for whatever reason. And so they arrived at this turtha, and there's a boatman there, and they tell the boatman, hey, we need to cross the river. And he says, well, why are you need to cross the river? And who are you? And he says, well, I'm Rama, this is Sita, this is Lakshman, my brother. And he was like, Rama, wait a minute, Rama, I've heard of that name. And he searched his brain, he remembered hearing a story about Rama. He says, I don't know if I can carry you on my boat. I heard a story about you. You touched a stone with your foot, and the stone turned into a woman. How should I let you on my boat if you're going to turn my boat into something else? Because this is my profession, this is my livelihood, I need my boat. Rama assured him, I am not going to turn your boat into anything. And for you to hear the rest of the story, he didn't say that, but I'm just saying the rest of the story, because I think of Paul Harvey. And he says the rest of the story is, a rishi had gotten jealous about this woman and turned her into a stone. So when I touched the stone, I was actually liberating this woman and getting her out of this stuck state. And so that's a really important piece of the story. Liberating to get out of the stuck state. So when he heard that, he was like, oh, like he understood. And he was like, come on, I'll give you a lift. And so they got on the boat, he carried them across, and Sita, his wife, took off her ring and said, here is your payment. And the boatman was like, I'm not going to take your payment, because we are, in essence, the same. He said, I may carry people across the river, but you are carrying people through the ocean of life. So I thought that was a beautiful story to share regarding boats. And so when we're in boat pose, I want you to consider, how can we liberate ourselves out of our own stuck state, whatever that is. Hi, how are you? Come on. So that's what we're going to start with. I'll share the story with you afterwards if you want to hear it. We're going to start on our backs. And I'd like you to place your hands on your belly. Somewhere along your abdomen, it could be the lower or upper half, it could be alongside your navel, but spread your shoulders out, let your elbows tap the floor, so there's no effort. Let your feet kind of fan out a little bit, toes rolling away from your midline. Shield and close your eyes. Take a moment just to assess the state of your body. How does it feel today? What has been showing up physically for you? Then set your intention to be attentive to your body, to nurture your body, to challenge your body, but to also keep it within the safety zone, especially since it's our main vehicle of life. And then assess the state of your mind. State of your energy. State of your heart and emotions. And I want you to ponder for a moment on where you may feel stuck.
And it can be within any of these realms. Your body could feel physically stuck in certain areas. Your mind may get stuck on a particular thought or idea or belief. We know our energy can sometimes get stuck and stagnant. And sometimes that happens emotionally as well. So let's set our intention to become unstuck. Now start to improve the quality of your breath, breathing in and out in a diaphragmatic way. Remembering that when we're breathing in a diaphragmatic way, there should be movement here where the hands are resting. The belly ballooning upward and outward on the in-breath. Dropping down and inward on the out-breath. This deep yogic breath holds many benefits. It can actually help to transmute our energy. Remember to rely on your breath through the practice and to flow with your breath through the practice. All right, now we're going to bring the arms alongside the body on the seat mat with the palms down turned. We're going to start movement. We're going to begin pointing the right toes. Inhale, soaring the legs skyward. Exhale, flex through the ankle and lower the heel down towards the ground to hover and hold. Then when you're ready to breathe in, point your toes, lift the leg back up towards the ceiling. Flex the ankle and lower the foot down. Continue in sync with your breath. Inhale with the leg rising up. Exhale with the leg lowering down. Notice this action requires the lower abdominal section. It requires work in the hip flexors. We're also working the quads and the hamstrings. When you flex that foot, you'll even feel the stretch through the Achilles tendon and the calf muscles. When you point the toes, you feel the top of the foot working and the peroneal muscles attaching to the shin. Release your right foot down at the end of that out breath. Point your left toes. Inhale, single leg lift. Exhale, flex and lower. You want to try to keep the leg straight. Point and lift as you breathe in. Flex and lower as you breathe out. Continue with this repetition. So another thing that inspired this, you guys, it was pretty funny. On our way to Columbia, I was rushing to go pick up the kids because I had just taught a class at another studio, and we were limited on our time to get down there. And the kids were like putting on their sunblock in the car, and they were saying that they wish they had a beach body. They're only 14. And they started Googling how to get a beach body, and it was hilarious. And of course, some of it was poor work. All right, exhale, lower that foot all the way down. And then inhale, fly your right leg right back up. But this time you're gonna attach your hands behind your thigh. You're gonna spread your toes nice and wide. Reach up through the padding of the foot. When you're reaching up through the foot, it may not feel as flexible coming in towards the face. But we're activating the muscles more. Take one more deep breath, and then see if it's possible to take the hands maybe up towards the calf. If that's too much, don't do it, leave it out. Now lift and hover your left foot. Squeeze the belly in and slowly begin to peel the head off the floor, lifting the head up towards the knee. This is a version of Shavasana C. Feel free to even attach the hands to the foot if you want to climb a little higher. Exhale, release all the way down. All right, we're going to take that to the left side. So pick up your left leg. Press the padding of the foot up towards the ceiling. Attach your hands to the back of your thigh. Now, I know sometimes we use straps, but since we're coming up to Shavasana C, the strap would kind of be in the way, which is why we're just going to use our own hands for this. Take one more deep breath. Open up the back side of the knee. Maybe slide the hands towards the calf if that's in your wheelhouse. Pick up your right foot and hover it. Squeeze the belly in and lift the nose up towards the knee. No intention to touch. And you might be able to take the hands down higher towards your foot. All right, we're going to stay here and swap, scoop, and lift. Scissor the legs the other way. Scoop the belly in and lift. So that extra squeeze and lift is going to require more effort for the rectus abdominis muscles, right at the center of our bodies. Do one more to each side. Now, when we're working through the solar plexus this way, it does build some internal heat. Take a moment to lower down to corpse pose. Lifting the hands open, closing and resting the eyes. And just giving your body a momentary break. One more deep breath, breathe down deep into your belly. And then we're going to take the hands, palms facing down underneath our seat, and they may even lower down below your thighs for the double leg lifts. Earlier we did single. Point the toes. For the double leg lifts, we pike them both together and up. Exhale, flex the heels. And slowly lower them down and hover a few inches above the floor. Point the toes, inhale, sail them upward. Exhale, flex and lower them downward. Do this a few more times. Notice we're also getting some work with the legs. It's not just core work. Last one. If it helps to practice these sequences with the Ujjayi pranayama, you're welcome to use that breath work. Draw the knees in, wrap the arms lovingly around the top of the shins. Be here, laid out on your back, knees tucked, and feel your tailbone reaching towards the front of the room. You might have noticed you perhaps going a little sway back at times with those double leg lifts. And so this is going to flatten the low back, lengthen it out. Try not to overly squeeze the knees. And then affirm mentally within. I reduce my scattered forces to rise up and away into the sky. I reduce any of my stuckness to rise up and away into the sky. Where can we become unstuck? We have a Lion's Gate portal. It happens every year on August the 8th. And this year it lines up with the new moon. It happens to fall on Sunday. So if you can, take time to really meditate or to do something more peaceful that's going to clear your mind. Gently roll over to one side of your, actually you don't have to roll to the side clip your hands up underneath your knees. Let's rock and roll forward and back. Because this is a little core work too, but it's fun core work. We're trying not to roll to your head or your feet. And it's a nice massage for the back. The next time you rock up, straighten out your legs. And make sure there's nothing behind your mat. Maggie and Susan, you may want to scoot so your heel's right at the edge of the mat. Yeah, I think you guys are fine. Inhale, you're gonna elevate your arms up in front of the face, flex those feet, splay those toes, push down through your thigh bones, zip up through your midriff, which kind of naturally occurs when we lift the arms. And as you exhale, we're gonna fold over. It's okay if your hands don't quite touch your toes. Remember, that is not a goal. But you are trying to fly the navel out towards the knees, and you're trying to fly the heart out towards your toes. And then affirming as you hold, I'm safe, I'm sound, and good things come to me and give me peace. On your next inhale, lift up. You're gonna flip your hands open. We're gonna squeeze that navel in, and we're gonna slowly roll it back. When we roll back, we take the hands to turn down, we fly the legs up and roll back towards plow, Shavasana. Once the legs come up over the face, squeeze the abdominals in, roll it down one vertebra at a time. As soon as the sacrum lands and the feet start to descend, rise up to active Dandasana and exhale to Paschimottanasana. Again, stretching out not just the back of the legs, but the spine as well. We're trying to lift before we lean over. Inhale up. Pierce the navel in. You're creating that C curve here in your belly. Keep it scooping in. When your head releases, flare the legs up. Rock and roll back. Shavasana plow. And then exhale, squeeze and lower. Practice mindfulness as you flow through this sequence. So there's no haphazard movements. You want it to be mindful movement, not reckless behavior with the body. And that reckless behavior could come up if the breath is out of control. So hone in on your breath. Use it for your benefit. All right, one more of those. Inhale coming up. Squeeze the navel in. Roll it down safely. And then lifting the legs up and over. Keep your head stationed, chin in line with your chest. That protects the neck. Plus there's lots of nerves there. Roll it down. When you're ready, active Dandasana. Paschimottanasana. I am safe, I am sound, and good things come to me and bring me peace. Now, that was our warm up. All right, now we're going to start to flow. So let's go ahead and come up to stand. Grounding the feet at the top of the mat. We're going to be going through some Surya Namaskaras and adding in some core work in the mix. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Inhale, let your arms soar up. Exhale, swan dive down to Uttanasana as if you were going to splash into some water. Inhale, bend the knees, lift the arms, come to Utkatasana, chair pose, pull up through your side lats, roll in through the pinky fingers, grip your feet into the mat, especially through your heels. Exhale, hands together, fold straight down, Uttanasana. From your Uttanasana, we're gonna step back to plank. Streamlining shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Exhale, drop low to chaturanga, hover and hold if possible until you're ready to breathe in and breathe in and up to upward facing dog. As we exhale, we're coming down to the belly, floating the hands, cobra, shoulders back, elbows in. Lengthen the leg bones, squeeze through the buttocks, and then lift and float the feet. So even though this is locust pose, it takes that shape like a canoe. Remember, we want to ride on the wave of the breath. Don't let your body be so stiff. Let the breath move through so you can become unstuck. Exhale, place your hands and feet down, your brow down, curl your toes under, push straight up, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. And from Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward facing dog, pause here. Root your hands. Sail the sits bones skyward. And let your head hang between the arms. Receive this replenishment. All right, core work. Inhale, right leg lifts. Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, cheetah, shoulders over hands, forehead towards the knee. Inhale, lift it up. Long lines through the limbs. Exhale, come closer, head toward knee. Inhale, one more, right side only. Exhale, squeeze in. Inhale, plank, head lifts, right foot back. Shift forward, lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down to the cobra. Down to the belly, float the hands. I know I'm changing the flow today. May trip you up. Lift the feet. But as it trips you up, notice we're creatures of habit. Right? Exhale, land your hands and feet, lower the brow, curl your toes. We're building some strength today. Shoulder roll back from the ears, knees pluck up away from the floor. Use your upper body strength and core strength to rise. Exhale, take it to down dog. From downward facing dog, inhale, left leg lifts. Once you sit with the legs open, exhale, crunch in, cheetah. Continue, inhale, lift out and up. Exhale, draw in. One more. Inhale, left leg back, head up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, cobra. Float your hands, baby cobra. So we saw baby snakes. We didn't see big snakes. Feet floats. Locust. What's going to be our kayak or canoe today? Breathe. Exhale, still down. Inhale, rise up, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now be here, stepping the feet just slightly closer together if they're too wide. There should be about maybe 4 inches between the big toes. Find your breath. Inhale, establish your feet at the top of the mat. Lift up halfway upon arrival. From Ardha Uttanasana, bow out over the legs. Inhale, coming all the way up to the top. Exhale, swan dive back in. Uttanasana. Inhale, bend your knees. Lift your arms up, Utkatasana. Zipping up action through the belly. so that you're not overly arching the low back. One more breath, find your drishti. Exhale, hands together and bow. Inhale, take plank. Exhale, lower and hover. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, down to cobra. Baby snake here, legs lengthen back, and then eventually float the feet. Find your breath. It's essential. What I absolutely hate the most about what we've been going through is people not being openly breathing. And this is your opportunity on your mat to open up your breath. Lower down. Curl the toes, lift the knees, retract the belly, press up. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, we got more core work, more strengthening. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bring the knee to the outer side of your right arm as you shift forward. Good. Inhale, take the right leg up and back. Exhale, knee draws into the arm again. Same repetition, you got it. Inhale, lift. Exhale, right knee to outside of right arm. Stay here, plank. Right foot just goes back. You got it. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dogs. Exhale, cobra. When you're ready, lift the feet. So this feels like all back stuff, right? Because it is strengthening the back, but this is also core work. Aren't you glad we're not doing an hour of sit-ups? Lower down. Curl your toes. Inhale, pick yourself up. Exhale, roll it back, down dog. Make sure the feet aren't splayed too open. Right, a little closer together so you can have better balance. Left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to the outer edge of the left arm. 2 more at this pace. Oh, this is so much better today, guys. Yesterday, it was a flow class instead of a blissful. We were doing like 5 or 10 of these. 3 is so much better. Take it back one. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale. Exhale. Hands hover. Feet hover. And now I want you to think about the shape of our body as not just like a canoe or kayak. It's like a smile. So keep having fun with it. Flying upwards on wings of joy. Say that to yourself mentally. I'm flying upwards on wings of joy. Bring the hands of the feet and brow down. Curl the toes, you know what to do. Lift straight up. Exhale, roll back. Enjoy your pranayama here. Remembering prana is life force energy. When we control and manipulate the breath, we can control and manipulate our own state of consciousness. Inhale, bring the feet to the top of the mat. Lifting up halfway upon arrival. And then exhale. Consider what we did earlier when we were sitting on the floor, flying the navel out towards the knees, flying the heart outward towards the toes, and apply that same principle here. Nod your head. Loosen the neck. Affirming nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. I choose to be unstuck. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, swan dive down. Bend the knees. Inhale, Utkatasana. Your fierce pose. Pause here for next breath. Exhale, palms together, fold straight down the middle. Inhale, take plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Into upward facing dog. Out, lower to the belly. Cover your hands. Shoulders back, elbows in. Cover the feet. Breathe. Smile. Arm fly upwards on knees of joy. You know what made me smile in the river? I probably saw 20 different sets of dragonflies mating. They kept coming to the boat or landing. It's like, oh, this is fun. I love dragonflies though. They represent liberation too. Exhale, bring yourself down. Inhale, pick yourself up. Exhale, rock and roll back. All right. Inhale, right leg lifts. This time, the knee is going to cross under and over to the left arm as we shift forward. Side oblique work. Good. Inhale. Extend. Exhale, oblique work. One more. I love the pace we're going. I love blissful flow pace. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up, down. Exhale, cobra. Hover, hands, feet. Breathe. We're waking up this Monday morning, preparing for the week that's going to guide us into the Lion's Gate. Bring it down. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down dog. Feet walk a little closer in. Head hangs between the arms. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, hook it under the belly towards the right arm. You got it. Inhale and exhale. Third one. To plank, to chaturanga, into up dog, out to cobra. Surprisingly, even though we were a little fiercer yesterday with repetitions, I'm not even sore in my abs. So you may or may not be. I probably will like it today, doing it 2 days in a row. Exhale, descend. Inhale, rise to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, using that sequence, bringing the feet to the top of the mat. Open the heart upon arrival. Look out with your eyes. Exhale, bow out. Inhale up to the top. Exhale down to Uttanasana. We're going to start changing up the practice here. Bend the knees. Inhale, Utkatasana. I know it doesn't look like it yet, but we will. We're going to do one more of those vinyasas. And I sweat pouring down my chest. Are you guys feeling that? Is it just me? Okay, hands together, folding. It is cool in the room, which is why it's surprising me, but not so surprising since we're working the solar plexus. That's when the inner Agni is, the internal fire. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. Bhujangasana first. Incorporate the legs next. Exhale, scale down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, go back. All right, here we go. Look forward towards your hands. Bend your knees, bring some buoyancy to the hips. Crisscross the ankles, hop forward and lower to a seat. Yes, we're on the ground again. Feet forward and farther ahead of your knees so they're not stacked. And then I'm going to turn this way so I don't confuse you. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, we're going to seal the arms halfway down to the left, and we're going to scrunch in through the left side abdominals or obliques, and using the center, pulling the navel towards the spine. Inhale, come back to the top of the sits bone, straightening the back, looking forward. Exhale, you're rolling more towards the tailbone. Arms shift to the right side, scrunch in on the right side of the abdominals, that's it. Inhale up. Exhale to the left. Ujjayi breath is great for this. Inhale up. Exhale to the right. Again. Continue. Pace it with your breath. Good, now inhale up. This time, exhale, arms in front, push back through the shoulder blades. Again, use those abdominal muscles. Inhale up. Exhale, straight back. 3 more. Inhale up. Exhale, hands are going to cross under the knees. And then you slightly lean your chest back. Yep. Flex and float each foot. Our whole story was about this pose. This practice was inspired by being out on a boat in the river. And then remembering we have boat poses. And what this represents for us. Shoulders roll back, heart lifts. All right, this is an easier form of half boat. Try to keep drawing the whole front side of the belly towards your spine. Crisscross your ankles, land your hands, lean forward, bump up. Sit down, hands together, feet flex. All right, amping it up a little. See if you can release your hands. Hip flexors working, abdominals working. Crisscross the ankles the other way. Hands down, lean forward, bump up. Okay, third one. If you want to try to straighten your legs for full boat, I'm not releasing my hands with this, but you can. If you just want to do half, do half. No worries. Crisscross, hands down, lean forward, bump up, and release. So my boyfriend came to class yesterday. I was facing this way, so he would have been there. But for this sake, imagine I'm facing this way and you're him. So I couldn't see what he was doing. He was like, I couldn't do half of that stuff. I was like, well, what stuff? I couldn't see you. And one of the ones he was talking about was this. So I know not everybody's arm lengths are the same, but it's not just pushing down with your arms. If I'm just pushing down with my arms, I'm barely lifting my seat here. But if I had a bigger seat, it wouldn't even lift, right? I just feel my bones lift, my butt's still touching. But when you're leaning forward with your hands forward, not only are you using your arms, you're scrunching in your belly, and you're also using those hip flexors and floating and flexing the feet. So it's a combination of all those little elements. Okay, so now we're going to crisscross, Lean forward onto the hands. Step or jump to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, cobra. This is the last set of this. You'll be happy to know. Or maybe not, maybe this is your favorite pose. Is this your favorite one? Me either. I'm with you. Lower down. Curl your toes. Inhale, push up. It's okay to grunt. Exhale, down dog. All right, look forward towards your hands. You can walk the feet to either side of the mat behind your hands, or you can hop the feet behind the hands. Yeah, and just drop your seat or tailbone, come to squat. And if you need to do a higher squat, modify. Okay, so from here, we've been working with the core. And I thought just to change it up and integrate it more through the body, we could work on crow, which is a balancing pose. Your hands come down, shoulder distance apart, and your hips fly up. Turn your toes to face your hands, heel toe them in. Squeeze your elbows down, lift your head up. Peel your heels off the floor so you're shifting towards your toes and your knees are landing to your upper arms, and you continue to lean forward, continue to lift your head. Gaze at one spot, find the fulcrum of balance, and maybe point and lift your toes. Separate the feet, come back down. Come down to your seat. Feet go forward. So out on the river, I told you I saw several turtles. My favorite was this little baby turtle. It was so green, almost like lime green, and its neck was so long. Just checking everything out. So our neck is not going to be coming out like this, like that little turtle. We're going to go inward. So we're going to slide the hands up underneath the knees. And one way to perform this pose is simply by your head, as if you're hiding your head away. Another variation is to flex the feet and let your heels slide on the wood floor. So you're coming more into a forward fold. Your head is still bowed over and you're slightly rounding your back to mimic the tortoise shell. Since a couple of you know Allison and are open to this idea, I'm going to share. There was another point where we're going down the river and I was mentioning the Hindu deities to her. And I said, you know, I've always looked at the deities as being a representation of attributes of the divine, attributes of the one. And there's some people who also have that same kind of idea. But I was telling her about my friend who had really studied Vedas, who believed they were really aliens that had come down with like these powers, and because they had these powers and this extra knowledge, people looked at them as being gods or goddesses. So there's like two different viewpoints. And she was like, really, it's all the same. And she said, you know, some of these have been coming to me in my visions and I didn't even know who they were. And she said, like right now, there's this blue entity coming up out of the water to show himself. I'm like, that's Vishnu. Vishnu is under the water. I know it's a little woo-woo. Now slide your hands back in. Slowly come on up. Take your feet out. Have your hands behind you. Push into your hands and slightly slide forward. Make it go a little deeper. Engage your quads. And start to fold down. So that tortoise kind of prepared us for Konasana, this wide angle position. Affirming mentally within, I accept everything that comes my way as an opportunity for further growth. Inhale slowly. Slide the feet together. Start to lower down, picking your feet up. So just like we were doing the locust to represent that canoe or kayak, this is that version of boat. Inhale, half boat. And come back to that canoe or kayak shape. Rise up to half boat. Bring it back to that canoe or kayak. Inhale back up. All right, exhale, feet together and fold. I meant to tell you that wide angle in yin, we were doing it the active way, so it's Konasana, but in the yin style, it is called dragonfly. Dragonfly and butterflies have very similar symbologies. It's about freedom, liberation, transformation. Into the hips and the inner thighs. Your belly can be soft here. It's been doing a lot of work for us today. Next inhalation, gently begin to come up. We're going to end with fish. So I'm taking my hair back now. Because fish, I want you to see when you're taking the hands under the body. Some people will put it under just under their buttocks, and then it's hard for them to come up and create the back bend. So you really need the arms to lengthen as you sit on the hands. And so depending on the length of your arms, like my hands come about halfway down my thighs. Root down into your elbows, that will lift your chest up. Once you lift your upper body, point your toes, keep your chest lifted and lower the head back down. So you're trying to focus on the cavity of your chest. Think about your breastbone blossoming up towards the sunlight. Good, take one last breath. Affirming my soul floats on waves of cosmic light. Good, lift your head up, lower down. Cup a hold of your knees again. And take a quick spinal twist, so roll the knees off to the left. Take a few breaths here. We focused a lot on twists last week. We started the week with the theme ring it out, wringing out any stress, tension, concerns or fears or stress or tension, fatigue or illness, toxins. In the midpoint of last week, we focused on the idea of worry and why worry is a waste of time and how worry is worshiping the problem instead of creating a resolution. So we were trying to wash the worry away. So today, adding in this twist, just think about becoming unstuck wherever you feel like you are in life or within yourself. Roll the knees to center, let them roll to the other side.
So just to give you a little prelude of where we're going Wednesday, when I return, we're going to continue with this theme of the river, but we're going to put it into more of a kind of spiritual context. I know there's still a spiritual context today. Basically, I'm trying to tell you it's going to be less physical, less physically demanding than today. Now draw the knees back through center, and we're ready for Shavasana. So if, for instance, you wanted bubbly brook, you can take the bolster under your thighs, and you can take the blanket, roll it up under your chest, or you can tuck it underneath your head like a pillow. For another pose, you're obviously welcome to do that, because this really is your time and this is your practice. And I want you to follow your intuitive guidance. If we can learn to trust that guidance here, we're more apt to follow it off the mat. I'm going to give you a little contemplative food for thought here. Poets mention life as a journey. And often they talk about the journey, crossing turbulent waters, and having God or spiritual principles or practices to help to navigate our way. So think about your life as a voyage, as a journey. When and where have you experienced rough waters? Where have you experienced obstacles or turbulence that you had to overcome? And was there anything that helped you cross to the other side? Was it adopting a new perspective? Was it help that you received from another? Ponder what has kept you afloat, especially through all the changes and shifts that we've experienced just recently. And then use this time to drop out of your head and into your heart. Drop into the state of trust and faith, courage that resides in your You hear the mindfulness bell sound. You don't need to do anything other than be reminded of your breath. Come home to it. Alive and create some movement with your body. Curl in. Brace yourself in a loving manner. Roll to one side. Come up and take a seat. Hopefully, if you came in this morning with a lower vibration, you were able to transmit some energy. Turn your frequency up. If you've been feeling stuck in certain places in life, hopefully this practice has been inspirational. Place your hands together to prayer. May we all walk away from this practice being more free and at peace in our bodies, hearts, and minds. May we walk away from this practice sensing how this practice is very medicinal and therapeutic to our minds, bodies, and spirits. Continue on this path through this trying time. The light in me honors and bows to that within me. Stay. Participating. Didn't complain about the core work.